Hello and welcome to Crushing Comics, the comics review podcast from the Comic Crush. I am Tonya Harding. With me is Nancy Kerrigan, also known as Paul and Liz. We're here to bring you a bunch of opinions and I don't know, guesses, wild guesses about what we feel about the comics this week. Today we are going to talk about Suicide Squad King Shark. We are going to talk about Frontiersman #1 from Image. And we are going to talk about the death of Doctor Strange from Marvel. Liz, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing well.
Good week so far.
Good week in comics. Yeah,
it's a lot of stuff out at the moment. September and then particularly October and into November is going to be particularly chock-a-block with comics, especially coming from DC. DC are putting out a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Although there are some sort of issues in terms of shipping and things to the UK that we might need to mention towards the end of the show if we've got time. Now, we're going to kick off today with King Shark. This is a Suicide Squad spin-off, I guess, inspired by the fact that King Shark was an extremely popular character in the recent movie. Certainly
quite delightful,
character,
yes.
Yeah. Certainly a character we liked. I did like the fact that in the film they did actually manage to get some sort of, pathos and empathy into King Shark. There's that beautiful scene where they're riding around town and he's kind of just staring mournfully out of the window at all the people. But you could just be planning to eat them, right? I mean,
right, yeah. I mean, he's quite the monosyllabic character in the film. But here, in the comics, he's actually, seems a lot more fluent in earthly dialects and everything.
Yeah, he's a bit more chatty and a bit more verbose in which I guess mean the same thing. He's a bit more verbose in this. So this is Suicide Squad King Shark #1, written by Tim Seeley with art by Scott Collins, colors by John Kalisk, and letters by Wes Abbott. I didn't really have any expectations going into this. I didn't know what direction they were going to take. As it turns out, it does take quite a comedic direction. Liz, can you tell me?
Which I suspected.
Yeah?
I suspected comedy from a King Shark,
Right, because, I mean, given the cover, it looks like, an action book. Which, of course, there is action in it. Were you staggeringly jealous that Dick Grayson had apparently been dating this character called the Defacer?
Well, that was a character that Tim Seeley introduced in his Nightwing run, so I'm already very familiar with this character. Yeah,
I wasn't, having not read Seeley, and this is the run he did with Tom King way back when, or a different one.
No, so this is a different run.
Right, okay.
This is it was like post Kyle Higgins, I think.
Sure.
So I'm pretty sure it's when Dick is out of the red and black costume and back in the blue one, but don't quote me 100%. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it was like I enjoyed Tim Seeley's work on Nightwing. It was pretty fun. And this character, the Defacer, she plays a big role in it. And that little support group of villains that you see kind of midway through this issue also played a role. It's like, Dick had moved back to Blue Haven and he wound up going to this sort of, hero support group sort of thing, or in their case, like former villains support group.
I love that there's a character called Hot Take.
That character I have to admit I'm not familiar with. I don't know if that's some character he just made up for this issue or what, but
she has a very limited purpose in this book. So
yes.
we won't reveal what that purpose is, but you can probably guess.
It's quite a memorable scene. You'll know when you get there.
I mean, this does something that I guess we'll pick up on in Doctor Strange as well, or at least I'll try and pick up on in Doctor Strange, which is incongruity. The kind of the brushing up of the absurd against the extremely normal, I guess, or sort of semi-normal. And Defacer has no powers, as she admits. she's just kind of someone
She's
who
like
graffitis
a
stuff.
graffiti artist, basically. So how she winds up there is, is unfortunate for her,
And Nanawe is taking one of his periodic breaks to go back to his kingdom and take part in this sort of kind of gladiatorial competition called the Wild Games, where he'll go up against other sort of quasi-humanoid animal members of the DC universe. It's a funny book. Like I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, the Defacer character, like, I didn't like really care that much for her one way or the other in the Nightwing series, but here she's really funny.
Yeah.
So I think that it seems like he has a little more leeway in this book to to sort of dance around, like, almost like the dialogue veers into almost swearing territory occasionally, and it's a little more mature than what you get from a Nightwing book.
And it's an interesting character to do a spin-off to, actually, because it's he's not one of the major leagues. He's not Deadshot. He's not Harley. Even though we do get a Harley cameo, we also get a few cameos. Did you notice the amount of background Weasel that was in this?
Yeah. It was good.
Just oink every now and then. We get Waller. Waller turns up. I'd be interested to see where they take this in terms of progressing the character, but he's almost a kind of character that maybe at this stage doesn't need to progress that much.
Right. I mean, I think it's nice that they're giving him space to do that in a miniseries. I don't know, how much how much nuance needs to be there in just a regular Suicide Squad book. But I think it's nice to kind of take him on his own little adventure here, and maybe develop his character a little bit.
And there is a constant kind of callback to these support groups and the kind of nature of rehabilitation. Even Orca, who's now Orca the Whale Woman, right? Because I remember her from the Batman run and the Dick Grayson Batman stuff. Where I think she wasn't she just Killer Whale back then, or Killer Orca? There was another name she went by, I believe.
I don't know.
I'm struggling to remember, but
see, I mean, I remember her from the Nightwing run,
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me if she had if she'd popped up there too, because it's been a while.
She pops up in one of the early Dick Grayson as Batman runs, sort of post Morrison. And there's some great stuff with her, in the support group. I'm not a beast. And then when you cut to now, it's I'm a beast. It's just like, yeah. So I guess it is kind of saying, you can try and rehabilitate, but ultimately you're not going to get away from your true nature too much. Although the Nanawe is kind of pulling away from that nature,
right? With Defacer sort of grounding him in the moment. He kind of does hold back from actually killing Orca. And
also that's one of my favorite moments with his teeth. My teeth. She's just like, they'll grow back. Because of course he is a shark.
She watches the Nature Channel. David Attenborough gets name dropped like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, he does actually. It's some great stuff. And also we get a cameo from Bawana Beast, who I haven't seen since Morrison's Animal Man run. I was shocked to see him in there towards the end. There is some great stuff in the book. There's a lot of. I think if you just want a bit of fun this week,
that's
that's
like totally
one.
Great option.
Yeah.
It made me laugh. It was funny. It was I actually Tim Seeley. I like Tim Seeley. He can do comedy well, and I like that he's revisiting a character who was like otherwise like really kind of throwaway with Defacer. Like I haven't seen her at all since that that Nightwing run. So it was like, oh, okay, cool. I know I kind of know what's going on here, and he reinvented her as somebody I kind of root for. So
she must be an emo after your own heart, Liz.
Right, and that first page made me laugh. With
she looks like the type of gal who listens to MCR.
Right, yeah.
So I guess that there must have been a moment of, was it like she looks out at you from the page, you look back at her, there's a connection.
MCR starts playing in the background.
Right. I really enjoyed it. Guys, go get it. DC Comics, Suicide Squad, King Shark, #1 of 6 out now. Also, Frontiersman, #1.
Yep, on the flip side,
yes,
from like
complete flip side,
comedy book.
Yeah, we are on a roller coaster today. Frontiersman #1 from Image Comics. There you go. That is by Patrick Kindlon, who's writing, and Marco Ferrari, who is doing the art. It has letters by Jim Campbell. Now, this, as you say, is a very kind of, it is a superhero book. That's the kind of thing that snuck up on me about it. I didn't realize going in what it would be. I read the solicits a lot of times, but then I'll just forget. I'll just have written it down. I want to grab that book, but it is a superhero book. But it's a superhero book with a difference, and yet it explores a lot of things that we've seen before. So we have a hero in his sort of fading twilight, who's gone kind of out to the woods to just spend his well, not last remaining years, but he's kind of in his 50s or 60s. He's an old guy, and he's kind of gone back to nature,
and retired.
Yeah, and retired, and he's kind of using renewable energy, and he's kind of got this very kind of green outlook on life, and into his woods wanders a young kind of activist who wants to recruit him for something that's actually quite innocuous given the type of world we're living in, a tree sitting, which I just really liked, and they want kind of a brand name to get the message across. And what I liked about the book is it does raise some interesting points about the kind of almost commercial nature of activism now, and the kind of, I don't know, it is that kind of thing of, you can talk about about being green, about, and this is something that's very much in the press here today, because we've got the UN summit going on, and Boris Johnson has, of course, made a complete twerp of himself on that, talking about green issues, and somehow managing to get a reference to Kermit the Frog in there. So I mean, you can talk a game, basically. You can talk a good game, but it's whether or not you can play it. And I think this is a really interesting kind of angle to come at. How did you feel about this book?
Yeah, I think essentially that's what the book is about. About, okay, what is activism, now, like, is it, sort of going on Twitter and complaining, but then, that's the extent of what you do, or, is it what actions, constitute that? you know, in a real significant way. And, you know, is there a generational divide on, you know, how that works? And, you know, you know, is he doing the right thing, you know, by stepping back or by actually, you know, agreeing to do it? Is he putting himself in the firing line? Like he, you know, he mentions himself like, oh, well, you know, yeah, I could do this. I could be a figurehead and maybe they'd love me for a few days. But, you know, then, you know, is somebody going to go dig up something I said in the 80s about, you know, I can't remember exactly what he said, but, you know, working moms and you know, then I'm going to be the villain. And, you know, so it's complex. It brings in a lot of like, you know, kind of contemporary issues, you know, surrounding celebrity and you know, the standards they're expected to be held to, you know.
And it's a thing now where people do not expect human beings anymore. What people want are superheroes now. They
and not
they
even,
expect,
you know, like
yeah,
not even superheroes with flaws, like, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. You just can't be. I feel that there's a sort of dehumanization, a moral dehumanization process taking place where it's everyone's expected to kind of tick a bunch of boxes, and they can't be flawed. They've just kind of got to, you know, they've just
Right.
got
And
to be this.
also
And I
it's
say
like, you
this,
know,
and I do,
so
you know.
does that, you know, you know, does that hold people back from actually doing, you know, what they would like to do in their hearts? You know, like he, you know, he's like torn because he's like, well, you know, do I want to subject myself to that, even though maybe it feels like him the right thing to do? And I think that certainly applies to, you know, other people, you know, who are in a media spotlight. It's like, well, because I don't want to anger the angry mob, I, you know, maybe wouldn't do something that could make a difference.
Yeah. And even his kind of ex compatriots see it as a kind of PR exercise.
Right.
And you know, when he goes to see the sort of professor at the university who used to be
A teammate.
you know, and his teammate, you know, you're psyching yourself up you're psyching yourself out. Nobody expects the world. Give the press a soundbite on your way up, an inspiring word on the way down, and a couple of waves. And it's just like, but yeah, that isn't action. And you know, when you look at stuff like this, you completely get why these sort of pressure groups blockade traffic and you know take such direct and sort of forcible action as they do. I don't have to agree with that, but I don't necessarily agree with the planet being turned into French toast either,
Right.
which just seems to be the way we're going. I mean, you know, I am in myself. I am quite terrified about what the next sort of 10 years will look like.
Yeah. It's scary stuff. And, you know, and yeah, so the book is like really quite topical. Like, you know, it brings in all these like kind of contemporary issues and contemporary sort of obstacles, you know, for him to face as somebody, you know, who's older, who maybe, you know, who definitely isn't on social media and definitely does not have his finger on the pulse of,
right,
you know, the younger generation and everything.
and I guess that there is a sense of this is what it, to a certain degree, what it might be like for people who were activists in the 60s, then going ahead to like the 90s. You know what I mean? Like where people were still expecting activism, and it's just like, look, life wears you down. Like it really does. Like the youthful energy you had at 20 and 30 may not be there at 40 and 50. And almost certainly won't be there at 60. For some people, it is. Some people thrive on that, I think.
Yeah, and he seems to be quite committed to his principles. You know, that hasn't changed. But what has changed is, you know, his willingness to go put himself in the spotlight and, you know, physically fight and, you know, do anything besides sort of stick to, you know, what he sees as, you know, green and sustainable way to live his life out in nature.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there is something in that, the individual responsibility in action. I'm sure we all do little bits, we all recycle and stuff like that. And but it is going to take a lot more effort, unfortunately. But I think there needs to be in life a kind of legal backing for it. There needs to be some drastic societal changes and political changes in order to kind of almost force people to alter their lives. Can I just talk briefly about the art, because I don't think we really got into it about the art on King Shark. Marco Ferrari does a great job here. There's a real kind of dynamic energy to his stuff, and he captures, because I believe he's coloring this himself as well.
Oh wow!
Really captures that kind of dappled sunlight coming through trees. There is a quite an extreme cartoony sense to a lot of it in the action, but I really like his expressions and faces. And
yeah, beautiful. It was like it's a really beautiful looking book.
Absolutely.
And I didn't realize that he had done the coloring as well. So that because that's also
I believe he does, because no, I don't think. Let me just double check. Is anyone else credited for it? No, they're not. So I assume he's doing inks and colors on this as well. And it's a beautiful looking book. It's really nice. It's really fun. It really juxtaposes the kind of superhero, post-superhero parts of the frontiersman's life really well. It's a book with a lot to say. There is a really nice back matter sort of letter from Patrick Kindlon in the rear of the book that is definitely worth reading, especially if you're kind of a long-time superhero comics reader like us. I don't know if did you get to take a look at that? Or...
I haven't read it yet. But I will, I will get around to it.
There's some interesting stuff there, but fantastic. Also, yes, the art on King Shark was great as well.
It was really great too. Yeah,
sorry,
it suited it perfectly. Yeah.
We didn't really get a chance to mention. We got carried away on other things there, so sorry about that, Scott. Would you like to move on to the death of Doctor Strange, Liz?
Yeah. Let's talk about the death of Doctor Strange. This is one that you and I had I don't know. We had some sort of conversation about it months ago when it was solicited in previews.
Because they seem to be kind of killing off their main characters. Because I think they were talking about ending the Spider-Man title. Well, that's undergoing changes at the moment. That's becoming Spider-Man Beyond, where it's run by like a board of writers, including oh God, name's gone. But anyway, it's absolutely gone. Sorry,
totally gone. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's not.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, that's kind of what they did during Brand New Day. They had like this, this group of I think it was like 4 writers initially, where it would just, kind of be like, 1 or 2 issue, sort of, stories written by, I think it was Mark Waid, Joe Kelly, Mark Guggenheim, Dan Slott.
Yeah.
And that worked really well, actually. So it was, at the time that was coming out 3 times a month, I think.
Yeah, I think this is what they're going back to. I don't know if they're kind of doing that I mean, they're all good writers, but they're trying to recapture that popularity. But also, killing off a major character like this, just as we're heading into the year when their big sequel is coming out. It's like
it's a weird one. Yeah,
It is a weird one, and of course we've gone through things like the death of Magic, Last Days of Magic, and then the kind of rebirth of that with Strange Academy and things like that, which I'll get onto in a second. How did you find this? How did the Queen of Marvel find this this book? That's what I want to know.
I thought it was a great issue. It brought in some elements from the last Doctor Strange thing that I adored was Donny Cates's brief run, where Loki becomes the Sorcerer Supreme, which is drawn by art by Gabriel Walta, who I'm obsessed with, one of my favorite artists. And that was fantastic. And that's, that is the series, I believe, that introduced Bats the dog. And certainly, if you enjoyed Bats the dog here, I would highly recommend going back to Donny Cates's Loki Sorcerer Supreme. That was great. And the character of Zelma, I believe, also may have originated there. I don't know for sure, but don't quote me, but she definitely played a role in that one. So this is what I kind of knew was going to be a murder mystery, and that's exactly how this issue plays out. So I'm a sucker for that sort of thing, in whatever form it comes.
I forget it's kind of one of your favorite genres. I knew nothing about it going in, except that it was apparently going to be for at least a while, the end of Doctor Strange. And I think it's an interesting time to do it. I like the fact that there is a certain arrogance about Stephen Strange, especially in this book. It's on display. With these very kind of,
he's like, sort of got the same thing as like Tony Stark, where he knows he's the best, and he's just like totally fine with like letting everyone know that. And
like I did have to give a chuckle at, the world is my patient. It was just like, shut up.
It's great. It's perfect.
Yeah, but I liked the book. I don't really have a lot, like with Marvel stuff, I dip in and out, and therefore I don't always have this kind of overriding massive context to the Marvel universe. And I think you're much better at kind of keeping a grip of what's kind of going on. Whereas I'm just like, like, I don't know what's happening. I'm just going to buy this. I'm going to start getting Moon Knight because Moon Knight looks good. I'm going to grab Kang the Conqueror. I had a really close call with Kang last week, Liz, because I forgot to pick it up. Kang number 2.
You too?
And we ran out.
Oh, no.
Gosh! But luckily this week when I came in, some more had come in, because it wasn't orderable on the system, and it was just like, oh no! Just I find a Marvel title that I like, and then
taken away.
Yeah, but like this is good. This was fun. It's interesting to see his kind of pomposity come up against, characters like Magic, and there's some great reversals where him and Magic are fighting the demons on the school grounds, and the man who spends all his time uttering really kind of overwrought dramatic sentences has to tell one of the demons to speak plainly. I loved that. There's some good stuff, and again, there's that kind of incongruity where the normal world meets the superhero world. I don't feel comfortable saying what happens at the end of the book.
Well, you don't. You shouldn't.
Right.
You shouldn't say what happens at the end of the book, because that would really spoil it for anyone who hasn't read it yet.
Yeah, and I think,
but that was a great little surprise. I gotta say, I did not see, that character appearing.
But did you feel it was a bit of a cop-out?
No.
Right.
No,
okay.
I really didn't. I thought it was a great little twist, because, I certainly wasn't expecting it. And I was also, it answers some questions for me about, how is this going to proceed?
Right.
So, I thought that was a great, sort of reveal at the end. And, I highly recommend, anybody who does want to pick this book up, don't read any spoilers. Don't, just go
don't.
in blind as much as possible.
Mm.
I there are certain things I don't even necessarily want to talk about too much because, I feel like, okay, well, is that too much information? Like this, basically would you call it a metaphor?
Koshai the Deathless. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's what he's going for. Yes, it is a metaphor. And once you read it, you'll find out why, guys. But please do read it. Don't don't have it spoiled for you. We should say written by Jed MacKay, with art by Lee Garbett.
Who I love. I'm crazy about Lee Garbett. Like,
whenever I see his stuff, I'm always kind of really, really kind of pleased. Colors by Antonio Fabella and VC's Corey Petit on lettering, who all do a terrific job. The art is lovely, as you mentioned,
as you would expect, from Lee Garbett.
I wonder if Lee Garbett has ever worked with Kurt Busiek, because I think his style would really suit some of Busiek's stuff. Not taking away anything from Jed MacKay's writing on this, because it's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah. And Liz, I hate Marvel events.
Right. I know you. Yeah.
I don't mean okay, here's what I hate about Marvel events is I hate the fact that, here's something that's going to cost you $75 to $100 in, or £100 in books.
If you read all the tie-ins.
Yeah. And also, guess what? There's going to be like 50 books tying into this thing. Here, this is a manageable event with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books. And I feel that is a manageable thing. However, this goes right until 2022.
Really?
Yeah. So some of these books are scheduled, like it ends at the end of January in 2022. So that's an interesting thing. It's only the last sort of couple of books. Well, in fact, that is the last book that's scheduled for 2022.
Wasn't the series delayed? Was it like, I want to say it was delayed.
No, I don't think so. It's Darkhold that was delayed by a considerable amount of time. I think Darkhold was supposed to be out at like the end of 2019 or something like that, and is now just making its sort of debut in the next few weeks. But yeah, it's great stuff. I love the cover by Kerry Andrews. That is a really gorgeous cover. I mean, obviously you can't see it on
I think that's the one I have. Yeah, that is the one I have. Yeah. There were some great covers. I really loved the Scotty Young one.
I missed the Scotty Young one. I'm not really I don't really sort of gobble up the Scotty Young covers as much as others do. I like my serious books to have serious covers. And again, I'm not talking about the quality of his art. The quality of his art.
Yeah, I can't remember who did the other covers. I think I don't know. There were a couple, but and they were all nice. But a good book. One thing I do want to say about the books, if you can't get hold of them anywhere, go ahead and click the link down below. There is a link now for the featured on the podcast section in the web shop. So, I have a limited amount of copies, basically one, and you can just hop on and pick that up if you're in the UK. Free post and packing, over £10. If your books come to less than £10, please click the right button for the £2.50 postage. But you can pick all the books we mentioned on the podcast this week and last week up right now on there. So if you're eager to check any of these out based on our recommendations, do that, please, because all of that helps the website keep going and helps us keep getting comics and stuff to read. As does the Patreon, which you can sign up to now. There will be some new stuff going on to the Patreon, hopefully by the weekend. I am busy cracking away on stuff. Sorry, it as always, it just takes more time than I always assume it will. I think, I'll get this done in an afternoon, and then 3 afternoons later, I'm tearing my hair out because it's not finished. Well, I'm going bald.
I do just briefly want to mention Strange Academy as well. This is terrific. So this is a kind of young adults Marvel Hogwarts book about a young girl who gets indoctrinated into the Doctor Strange Academy to kind of keep magic alive in the Marvel universe post Last Days of Magic. It's a lot of fun. And
yeah, I haven't read it yet, and it's like we get a couple of moments in Strange Academy, in Death of Doctor Strange. So who are the kids? Who are the kids in?
Oh God, I can't
Strange
remember
Academy?
Now. It's Doyle Dormammu.
Right, who is son of Dormammu.
There are a couple of Asgardian twins who are just little shits, basically. I can't remember off the top of my head now. I'm sort of in the middle of reading this. I am going to be doing a full review for it. It has been out a while. It's available in 2 forms though, so you can get the digest size, which is it's kind of done more for the young adult readers, and the full size regular Marvel kind of graphic novel book. So it's Strange Academy First Class. I think they're actually now onto the 2nd volume of this.
Okay.
Or it's just issue 12 has just dropped. So maybe that's so that'll be the next one out.
Yeah, kind of what it made me think of, like, I do want to I will go back and pick it up now that it's been collected, because I just missed it in singles, whatever the timing was wrong, but it made me think of Wolverine and the X-Men.
Right, sure.
Which was like so fun. That was a book I loved, where it's set in the school, and it's like your focus is on the kids, but also the all the X-Men or the teachers, and Wolverine's like the headmaster, which is hilarious. I mean, that was great, and I thought, oh, this looks like a bit similar in spirit to that.
Absolutely, I'm sure it is. I've not read Wolverine and the X-Men, although now
it's a blast. It's so fun. It's
I do
there's
kind of
like some
go
genuinely like hilarious moments in it, and just it was a very good book. It's Jason Aaron, sort of doing what I feel he does really well, which is and he's a writer who can really change tones. He can do dark stuff, but he also does kind of comedy really well when he wants to, and that's that was the vibe of that book.
I'll definitely try and give it a look. I think
I highly recommend. Oh yeah, I think it's probably they probably still have at least some of it available in trade. But that was one of my sort of favorite X-Men books of the last 5-10 years.
Yeah. So this is written by Scotty Young and with art by Humberto Ramos. So yeah, Scotty Young is kind of moved over to writing more nowadays. He did Middle West. He's got some other things lined up. He's doing this. Humberto Ramos, who's I'm sure I certainly know.
Spider-Man, his that Dan Slott Spider-Man series, he's was fantastic on that.
Well, I remember
many other things.
I mean, I first encountered Scotty Young years ago with.
Oh, I was talking about Humberto Ramos.
Oh, sorry, Humberto Ramos. Sorry, yeah. I first encountered Ramos years ago on Out There, which was his book for Image, way back, which again was a supernatural kind of, kids thing. Here, his art style is quite different. It's more painterly almost in places.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, it is a sort of slightly different. I mean, but I've not seen much of his Spider-Man stuff, so
not painterly at all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is kind of, I guess, befitting the sort of world it's inhabiting. But you do get some great characters. It's like Doyle Dormammu, Shaylee Moonpedal, Alvi Boranson and Eric Boranson, who are the 2
Asgardian twins.
Yeah, Asgardian sort of frost twins, I think. It's great stuff. Lovely colors by Edgar Delgado as well, but that's available now. It's been available for a while. I'm just very slow at doing reviews, as we know. So shipping shortages. The price of shipping has gone through the roof for comics people. What used to cost where it used to cost about $4,000 for a container, shipping container, that's now gone up to something ludicrous by all accounts, like $28,000. And there are shipping delays. There are limits on how much they can actually send now. Because like to the UK, there's been a few times when shops have not received their full order because they simply just can't fit it on the container, because then there's not as many ships, and it's just like, I don't know what's causing it. I think some of it is COVID. Certainly with the UK, a lot of it is the cost because of Brexit and things like that. However, if there is someone out there who knows more and wants to leave a comment in the comment sections to sort of school us on this, please do. We'd love to have that conversation and get more sort of insider information on that. I think it means that some books are going to be late over the next year or so, and certainly some publishers.
So just late to the UK, like.
Yeah, well, some are kind of just being delayed altogether, because also there's a printing shortage. There is not enough paper to go around apparently anymore. It's quite a worrying time, really, in general. But we'll see how things shape up. And as I said, there does seem like more comics than ever due out in the next few months, particularly from DC. Like they are, they're putting all their weight behind Batman, it seems, to a certain degree. They are doing the most interesting stuff, though, I think.
I mean, do you think that has to do with the Batman? Like, I mean,
I think there's an element of that. And in fact, Mattson Tomlin, the screenwriter of the Batman, is doing one of the books, Batman the Imposter. I mean, it's great for me. I'm a huge Batman fan. You've got Josh Williamson, is it, taking over the main Batman title from James Tynion soon. And they're taking Bruce out of Gotham. That should be interesting. I mean, I've not been buying the main Batman title because I've kind of switched to a wait for the trade model. Not anything to do with the quality of level on the book. It is just because, financially,
it's hard to keep up.
I can't. Yeah. And I do kind of. I am throwing a lot of money into the kind of Black Label books. I love those. There's a new Swamp Thing book coming out from Jeff Lemire. So there's a ton of stuff happening, and I think DC are doing the most interesting stuff out of the big two. Personally, that is my feeling. However, you are starting to get some really interesting Marvel books. As I said, Moon Knight's been really great. Kang is really good. I'm looking forward to now
the X-Men,
digging
stuff.
into that.
I feel like it's been a really a huge sort of peak for X-Men stuff.
Sure. But kind of Hickman's coming off that, apart from his digital title, which he's doing with Declan Shalvey, I believe.
I think, yeah. But I mean, yeah, his sort of work on the X-Men, I feel like is sort of the best X stuff that's come out in years.
I mean, I loved Hoxpox. I haven't really read much
that
else.
Was incredible.
Yeah, and it was a real kind of interesting redo of the universe. I don't truck with a lot of the X-Men stuff just because the continuity baffles me, and I respect to everyone that's worked on it. I'm just too old to dive into a 50 or 60-year-old continuity right now. I'm not going to do that. Sorry.
But I would say there's a lot of interesting stuff happening at Marvel as well as DC. I really wouldn't put one over the other. In previous years, I would have actually said Marvel was doing the more interesting stuff. Whereas now I kind of feel like they're more on a level playing field.
Okay. I guess more interesting for me because, and also from an industry basis, I think the things that DC are doing, like putting more weight behind graphic novels and shifting how they distribute and all that kind of stuff, and throwing more energy into the kids' titles, all of that makes sense.
Marvel are doing the same things too, though.
Do you think so? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, all of those things. Yeah. I mean, if you're saying about the, I mean, they, they don't have a DC Inc., sort of per se,
Sure.
but they do have a lot of all ages titles that come out in a format that makes it clear that it's, for younger readers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Obviously they've now shifted their distribution as well to Penguin.
Has I don't even know what I'm trying to say. IDW have done the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
They've shifted to Penguin recently as well.
Right.
I don't know what that's going to mean for Diamond.
It's not meaning great things for Diamond.
I'm not sure it does. And it's fascinating because I am reading Dan Girano's history of the of comic book retail, American comic book retail at the moment. And that is... which I think is just called Comic Shop. And that's a fascinating read to have a look at the beginnings and now look at this substantial period of change. But hey, once COVID hit, we were always going to go through a period of change. And I think it's just going to be rough seas for a while. And then,
it's an interesting thing to watch happen because obviously Diamond have had the monopoly on comics distribution for, many years. So.
Sure. Guys, if you want us to dive more into this stuff, do let us know in the comments. I do want to say a quick welcome to new subscribers. We're now up to 60 subscribers. I'm really pleased with that number. Thank you very much, everyone who is subscribing. Liz, I've got to say hello to Dave K. Saturdave, who subscribed recently.
Hey.
Sorry, I meant to say hello last week, Dave. If you're watching, I hope you're doing good. It's really great. Thank you so much for subscribing. It's lovely to see your name on there. I hope we can catch up soon. Dave and I kind of live roughly in the same or near each other. In we're both in Wandsworth, and I hope we can catch up and say hi to each other at some point. But yeah, thank you for subscribing. Thanks to everyone who subscribes. Please do, if you are just casually watching today, please do subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications because we do a new show every week and we've got some other great things coming up, especially in October. We are planning our Halloween stuff. It'll be good and spooky. Nikki is running wild with that stuff as we speak. We're gonna try and line up a conversation with Nikki at the weekend so we can iron it out. But yeah, some great stuff coming. And more movie reviews and things, obviously, all on their way. I think that's it for me. Why the Last Man on Disney Plus in the UK and Hulu in the US. That has started. I believe the first 3 episodes. I saw the first episode last week, as I mentioned, at the Disney Plus event for Why the Last Man. That was a terrific event. Thank you so much, Disney Plus, for inviting me. I really enjoyed myself. Do watch the show. It was terrific. I really enjoyed it. I'm hoping we can catch up and do something on the first 3 episodes at some point. We'll see if that happens. We'll try and find space in the schedule. Yeah. I think that's it for us, Liz. Do check out the featured on the podcast section in the web store because you can pick up all the issues that we talked about today.
You can also pick them up at
Gosh Comics in Central London, and That's Entertainment in
Park Ave and Lois Lane in Worcester, Massachusetts.
So if you are UK or US based, we have you covered. Specifically, if you are in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Or anywhere in Massachusetts, it's a great shop if you're a comics fan. If you're in Connecticut, Rhode Island, wherever, it's worth a visit because it is huge. There's like a massive selection of not just comics, but every sort of vein of nostalgia that you might have, like used video games, like retro toys and records, everything you can imagine, all the like tabletop gaming stuff. It's there is like something there for every nerdy passion. So it's a destination spot, whether or not you live that close. you know, we get people in all the time from out of state saying, wow, I can, you know, I like this place blows my mind. So do come visit.
I hope, actually, as much as we're all dying to have you back over here, Liz, I hope I get to come out there and see it before you come back, because
you know, you would love it.
Yeah, I'm sure I'd have a whale of a time digging through the comics and trades and things there.
Enormous selection, huge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping that in 2022 we'll have a bit of a change in fortune and be able to come out there. Guys, if you want to help us out, there's the Patreon. Sign up from as little as £2 a month. Please do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Liz, thank you very much for giving up your afternoon to come and do this. It is wonderful to see you as always. Everyone, thank you, and we'll catch you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.